Good afternoon, everybody. This is Graham, Updegrove, your Central Coast real estate broker. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about the pros and the cons of real estate investing. I've had a couple clients that have asked me about real estate investing in the recent past, and I wanted to really highlight a couple of the main benefits and also the disadvantages of real estate investing. You know, there's pros and cons to every investment, and understanding some of those is certainly important in deciding whether or not to try and add real estate into your portfolio. So I want to start with some of the pros. The biggest one is cash flow. Most investors get into real estate investing because they want positive cash flow. And what I mean by that, cash flow is total income exceeding your total expenses. So you have your rental income, and from that, the expenses would be your mortgage if you have one, property taxes, insurance, utilities, any repairs and maintenance. Most investors want that passive income that is received every month. It is something that you can use toward disposable income. You can reinvest that income. So cash flow is a big one. Second one is appreciation. Most times real estate will appreciate over the long run. I was able to look at the statistics over the last 28 years, at least in California. Real estate has appreciated on average 6.5% a year. That's year over year over year. And that takes into account the market crash that we had in 08, 09. As you're well aware, if you follow the real estate market, we've come back with a vengeance. Real estate prices are the highest that we've seen. In fact, in 2018, just last year, we had some of the highest prices that we have seen historically, and now those have dropped back down a little bit. But with real estate ownership, over the long run, you will see appreciation. And you don't get that all the time. Stock market, it fluctuates, real estate market fluctuates, but long-term wealth generation is, in my opinion, is best suited toward real estate investing. Last one, very important one in my opinion, is tax benefits. You know, you get tax benefits with real estate ownership that you can't find anywhere else. Some of those tax benefits are depreciation. Now you can depreciate the value of the improvements of your rental property, and that's over 27 and a half years. So that could be potentially a $10,000 reduction in your taxable income every year. Now, a lot of these tax benefits are on your Schedule E. If you own rental real estate, it will go on your Schedule E, which is part of your tax form 1090. I don't want to get into too much on the taxes, but just so you're aware. With those tax benefits, aside from appreciation, you can write off mortgage interest. There's a mortgage interest deduction. Many people have a misconception with the tax reform that happened last year. That really does not affect rental real estate. It does affect your primary residence. But so you can write off mortgage interest. You can write off really any expenses that are related to your real estate business. And that could be travel, if you have to travel to your property, utilities, insurance, repairs and maintenance. So those are main financial benefits of owning real estate: cash flow, appreciation, and tax benefits. One of the other benefits is control. You know, I can't control what happens with politics, global issues, natural disasters, but I can control my real estate holdings. And what I mean by that is I can control the amount that I charge in rent. I can control, whether or not I need to move back into the property. And there's a high level of control that I have over these real estate holdings and my assets that I don't have with the stock market or other investments. Another benefit is predictability. Now, when I'm looking at a real estate investment opportunity, it's fairly easy to analyze that with a pretty high level of accuracy of how much can I rent this property for, what are my expenses going to be, and kind of backing into that cash flow. What kind of return on investment can I generate with this real estate deal or transaction? And in a lot of other investments, that predictability really isn't there. With the stock market, everybody wants to buy low and sell high. That's just not the way it works. So with real estate investing, you get that sense of predictability, control, and then also all of those tax benefits. Now, what are some of the cons? Tenants. Having tenants is not always a fun prospect. So you get phone calls. You get phone calls when there's a water leak, when there's a roof leak, when they have any sort of issue, and there might be maintenance issues that come along with that real estate ownership. So not only do you have tenants, you have to fix broken toilets, but I think putting mechanisms in place can kind of turn that in a good way. If you are constantly keeping up on maintenance, hopefully your tenants are happy, they're not calling you as much, you're keeping your asset in good shape. This is one of the biggest assets that most people have in their real estate portfolio, just general portfolio. Another disadvantage to real estate ownership is it's not liquid. I can't go out tomorrow and sell one of my rental properties. It just doesn't work that way. I need to give my tenants notice. I need to prepare the home for sale potentially. I need to put it on the market. There's an escrow process, a home inspection process, and that generally takes 30 to 45 days once you have an accepted contract and you're actually in escrow. So illiquidity is certainly something that is a disadvantage to real estate ownership. It's not something that I generally suggest if you're in it for a very short amount of time. But again, I look at the 5-year, 10-year, 20-year projection, that a lot of that illiquidity really doesn't matter to me now. The last thing I want to highlight as a disadvantage of owning real estate is vacancies and evictions. That can be lost revenue or lost cash flow, I should say, when you have a mortgage or property taxes to pay. You still have expenses you need to pay, and just because you're dealing with issues with your tenant who may not be paying or paying on time, those things need to be dealt with. So in a nutshell, those are some of the main advantages and disadvantages to real estate ownership. I may be a little bit biased in kind of how I got into real estate is that this has always been something since I was a little kid. I wanted to own real estate for the ability to generate wealth, to have that financial freedom. And even in my early 20s, I still didn't own anything, but I had a goal that I wanted to one day own something. So it's putting little pieces in, little things in place that you can work toward that goal, paying down your debt, saving so that one day you have that down payment. And it took me longer than I expected, but fast forward a couple years, I ended up partnering with someone that had more money than I did that could fund the majority of the deal. And now, we own and manage a handful of rental properties. I talk to a lot of people my age that have difficulty even just saving enough to buy their own house, something to live in themselves, let alone a rental property. But this is something that's very important to me, and hopefully there's some takeaways from this that one day down the road, maybe it's 2 years down the road or 10 years down the road, that hopefully you can enjoy real estate ownership as part of your wealth generation. So I look forward to hearing from you. If you have any questions, message me down at the bottom here, and look forward to hearing any of your stories, successes or otherwise. And I wish you a good rest of the day. It sounds like it's going to start raining here pretty heavily in a moment. Graham, Updegrove, checking out. Thanks.